Thembekile Mrototo, SABC News anchor, joins us again. Thembekile, of course, the commission has adjourned. It will resume tomorrow at 9:30. But as it contains to Ramsamy, she is back for a second part of her testimony next Tuesday. Give us then a sense of, in the last hour or so, what we've been hearing.
So, Nati, that's right. So she will come back, that is Ms. Ramsamy, to the commission. That's next Tuesday, where she will continue her evidence. That is because she has now basically been given more time by the evidence leaders to work on a second statement. She's now run through the detail of her first statement, dealing with when she first became aware of this crime intelligence investigation. She's spoken about how the initial Section 27 affidavit made mention, in fact, the one that she saw, she says, of issues including crime intelligence, the slush fund, the political killings task team. But ultimately what ended up here during the leading of Advocate Andrea Johnson's evidence was a Section 27 affidavit that did not touch on those issues. For instance, she has described her now former boss, Andrea Johnson, as someone who had been nicknamed in the office a flip-flop knee-jerk, because she would, by her account, blow with the wind, if you will, in terms of how she dealt with issues, including investigations in the office. And that's come up again just now in the evidence that's just concluded, or the part of her statement that was being dealt with. Let's bring back into the conversation SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga, who's with me now. And Canny, let's talk about what has been dealt with in the last, hour and a half after we came back from lunch, and ultimately how Ms. Ramsamy's evidence has perhaps moved us forward or exposed further contradictions.
Absolutely. In the last hour and a half, we've seen her confirm that the conduct of the investigators or the operational methods was unlawful. I think she's not mincing her words in that effect, that the way in which statements were commissioned, and she's also doubled down on the claim that it was not possible for Mr. Paramore to have commissioned that second statement from Fadil Adams, because the question is that they were together at all times. I think she admits that at some point she took an hour and a half nap, but outside of that, it would have been impossible for him to have gotten that statement from Fadil Adams. And the suggestion is, what if he came to the hotel and commissioned a second statement there? And she also questions that, stating where would he have been able to print it. And we also do know that Fadil Adams has since opened a case with respect to this, or at least there were reports that he was scheduled to open a case with respect to allegedly defeating the ends of justice, because it's become clear that the Fadil Adams complaints that was used to springboard IDAC into all of these other parallel investigations under Section 28, subsection 13, could have been based off an affidavit that actually wasn't the original affidavit, which explains why there was no sense, or rather there was a difficulty in trying to explain how that Section 27 referral, as we saw it flighted before the Commission, would lead to fraud and corruption as authorized by Advocate Andrea Johnson. There's a lot of testimony that still has to be ventilated with respect to IDAC, but at the very least, this particular unit that was designed to fight high-level corruption and was developed as a structure post the Zondo Commission, and really was the public was looking forward to those cases being prosecuted. There's significant flaws there, and at the very least we see alleged gross levels of abuse of power, and using that Section 2813 authorization power to allegedly target whoever you wanted to target based off of information you were getting. That WhatsApp exchange about Lushaba shows that Johnson had to have allegedly heard that from someone and then rushed via WhatsApp to get the subpoena into his bank account so that she could get that particular information about the movement or the alleged movement of Secret Service funds from his account. That's the kind of abuse of power that she continues, that is Ramsamy, to try and illustrate in how IDAC led their cases allegedly. And when she flagged this, she eventually gets removed from the Mokwele matter. I think she said in September. That's when she was taken off that matter because of the concerns. So this challenges pretty much all of the testimony of Advocate Andrea Johnson, because she tried to state that she was far removed, she was only receiving briefings. She kept placing herself in a position where if she's asked a tough question, she has to go back and ask this investigator or this advocate, when it's clear all the instructions allegedly came from her. And on top of that, she didn't take much responsibility for the unlawful or alleged unlawful conduct that we saw play out within IDAC. And I don't know what the future of this particular unit will be as it is designed. I know there is a briefing coming in the next few minutes by the Minister of Justice to pave a way forward for IDAC. But this evidence does not reflect well on the body. And it seems that the way it is designed, the structure, that is where you find the loopholes or the gaps to allegedly manipulate and abuse your powers to allegedly serve particular interests or target certain individuals.
SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga live with me here at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College at the conclusion of the first day of evidence, or testimony rather, I should say, for Ms. Ramsamy, an IDAC junior prosecutor, shall we say, who in fact feels she was assigned to that crime intelligence matter by the now former head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, because she thinks she was read as junior, as someone who would not have put up a fight or questioned any of what now appear to have been irregularities or in fact actual crimes, breaches of the law in the processes followed in investigating what she now says, contrary to what Advocate Johnson had told the Commission, was a process spearheaded, led personally by the head of IDAC.
Thembekile Mrototo, thank you so much for that. Thembekile, of course, joined earlier on by senior reporter Canny Maphanga.